Okay, just want to do a quick Bitcoin update. Bitcoin right now is getting a bounce. More about that in a moment. Just want to talk about the fear greed index. Right now we're at 29 as of Halloween here on October 31st. Again, we're getting, is the rally, we're getting a rally on Bitcoin. Is it a trick or treat? Well, it's a treat for, again, it's a gift. Any rally back up on Bitcoin is another shorting opportunity because, again, everything is pointing to much lower levels. And it's likely a trick for the bulls and a treat for those that are paying attention to what's going on. Most people are oblivious to what's happening and buying into the hype, believing that Bitcoin's about to go to 200 to 250,000. That's not going to happen. The complete opposite is going to happen by December or January. Bitcoin's going to be down to 74,000, or if it breaks it, more likely down to 60 or 63,000, getting a 50% or 52% haircut. Now, this is the fear greed index for crypto. I got people telling me, oh, you don't understand. Bitcoin didn't reach extremes here. And let me just bring it up close here over the last couple of months here. I got people telling me, well, Bitcoin hasn't reached extremes at the top, so we're nowhere near a high. And again, we're down here at 29. So again, Bitcoin hasn't topped. The bull run hasn't even begun to get started. These people buying into all the hype. And again, they don't understand. They're misinterpreting the chart. They're misinterpreting the data. Fear greed index doesn't have to reach an extreme for Bitcoin to top. That's not the way it works. So first, the narrative that Bitcoin has to make a new extreme like we've had in the past in order to make a top. Well, that's not the case. Up here, we made an extreme back in December and January, and we formed a divergence, December 2024, January 2025, and we ended up having a sell-off down to the April low, where we formed another divergence right there that marked the bottom, the higher low in April. We pushed back up and we made lower highs here in July and August. And at the August 14th peak, we had another divergence with the July peak and another divergence with the peaks back over here from 2024, December and January, a larger divergence. And then we sold off. Bitcoin went down 103,000. 107,000. When we sold off in August, it dropped down to 107,000, went back up and made another lower high for the October peak. Okay, that was October 6th, and it got another reference point of a divergence, very similar to what we had back at the 2021 top, back over here, and we came down, then we dropped down. We got the liquidation move. On some exchanges, it went as low as 102,000. Most of them, it's right around 105, 106,000. And then we got another drop down to 103,000. We rallied back up to 116,000. And now we're selling off again. The last 4 days, we've dropped nearly 8.5%. We're getting a bounce. That's likely all it is. I'm just telling you, again, these divergences marked the top over here in 2021, right there. Marked the bottom over here, the 2022 bottom, the divergence, marked our recent peaks there in January of 2022, the August 2025 and October 2025 peaks, and down here, again, the April 2025 low. Divergence is called the turn. So it's a moon boy hoax, a moon boy hoax, because they're saying, oh, we've got to reach these new extremes and we're nowhere near a top. Bitcoin's at extreme, so it's bottoming. And again, that's just not the way it works. Bitcoin can remain at extremes for an extended period of time. Eventually, you're going to see it, remain. Now, when we had the sell-off after the 2021 top, we had a big rally. We dropped 52%. We came down here to extremes, went back up, and then you came back down and you got that lower high at the 200 period moving average. Everybody said it was over. Everybody that was blindsided by the sell-off, we dropped 52%, expecting 200,000 back then. It didn't happen. We peaked at 69,000, got a rally back up to the 200 period on Bitcoin, and it went even higher. Oh, here we go. And then again, we remained at extremes on the low end here of the readings for an extended period of time until a bullish divergence formed. So, and again, Bitcoin, the bottom fell out of Bitcoin, it dropped 78%. So again, seeing these posts about how the fear greed index is showing that Bitcoin's going to go to 200,000 by the end of the year and 250,000 and all this other nonsense. And again, it's a bunch of poppycock. Coin has topped and it's formed a divergence, and this chart is another piece of evidence that Bitcoin has likely topped. If Bitcoin confirms a bear market by closing below the 50-week moving average and closing below the 10-month moving average and below Bitcoin's average price in the daily time frame, it's toast. Bitcoin will drop 80 to 90% over the next year, year and a half or so. The sell-off for Bitcoin might go on longer than a year because it's going to be associated with a recession and the stock market moving into a bear market. That's never happened with Bitcoin before, where the stock market's moved into a bear market, and 2022 is not a bear market for the stock market. Bull market never ended. Dropped more than 20%. Well, did it drop 35% during the pandemic, 3.5 weeks? Was that the shortest bear market in history? No, it was a crash during the larger bull market, which was the same thing what 2022 was. I'm just telling you, again, the fear greed index is another piece of evidence that Bitcoin has topped, doing exactly what it did back at the 2021 top, and that's forming a bearish divergence into major resistance. I've marked the tops and bottoms here, and again, I just want to show you, and let me clarify over here, this peak over here, in the first 2021 peak, we got a lower high and formed a divergence there too. Second peak, again, we got another reference point of a divergence. So I would just want to draw this in so you can see it. The first 2021 top, the second 2021 top, that was at 69,000. This was at about 64 or 65,000 for the first top. The November bottom, the December, January top, you get the divergence, the April bottom, and then again, our recent top here in October, which is the top, in my opinion, as I said at the top. Again, I'm seeing evidence of a top, and I've said every single week and every single day since then. People believing that Bitcoin is going to go make new highs in quarter four are being lulled into a false sense of security, hoping on hopium on something that's not going to happen. Based on the evidence I'm seeing, which this is part of the evidence, so I wanted to show you that. Please support the channel. Please support the channel with the link directly below. I don't have any sponsors. I turn those offers down. I just have a direct relationship with you. If you like my chart, you like my indicators, let me know that by supporting the channel. Follow the link below to take you to a secured site. If you follow the link below, donate any amount you want or make it a recurring donation. If you do that, I thank you. But if you could take a moment to step up to the plate and help out, most YouTube channels have sponsors, and that's how the channel makes money. I don't choose to do that because I don't want to send you to some exchange that wants to get you all leveraged up to wipe you out. Some of these other shady deals on the internet, I have no interest in selling you anything, but I need you to partner with me in order to make this work. I just put it all out there for free. So please consider supporting the channel today. Thank you. Watch the video all the way through. I'll be showing you my amazing long-term charts, important stuff. Watch the video all the way through. Now, currently, as I'm making the video here on Halloween, on Friday, October 31st, Bitcoin is up 1.54% at the moment. Was higher earlier in the session. Again, is this a trick or is it a treat? Well, it's a treat. It's a gift. It is a treat to anybody that's realizing what's happening. That is that Bitcoin is topped and it's moved into a new bear market. People don't realize it yet, and they're still, basing things on hopium that Bitcoin will go and reach 200 to 250,000. I told you I didn't think Bitcoin would reach 200,000 this cycle, and I told you that if it was able to clear resistance, it would likely stall between 150,000 and 175,000. But I also told you that if it turned off of resistance and we started seeing real evidence top at resistance, then the risk is that we top at the resistance in the weekly time frame and the monthly time frame, which is what happened. I got real evidence of a top. And so, again, I no longer believe that the bullish case is going to happen. I'm still going to talk about it until Bitcoin confirms a bear market. It has not yet confirmed a bear market. That will likely happen in November or December. But Bitcoin right now, after dropping in 4 days, 8.67% is getting a bounce, trying to bounce here at the get back above the 200 period. You've got a head and shoulders pattern here. This is the top. When I call the top over here, we had a slam it. We slammed right into major resistance. I got all kinds of topping signals there. I shared those with you. We got a topping tail. It was confirmed, and then later we got the follow through. And that the liquidation move. And I told you we were going to move back to the low 100,000 area. Again, the herd, the Moon Boys, completely oblivious, telling us, what they always do. It's a breakout. Slam into major resistance. And then I told you we were going down. I told you we were topping before the liquidation move ever happened. And I told you we were going down likely towards the low 100,000 area at a target of around 100,000 to 101,000, just under the 50-week moving average. We hit 103,000 just above the 50-week moving average. And my signals all began to turn back to bullish. So I told you again, you're either going to get a feeble counter trend or you're going to get the larger one right now. And we ended up getting the larger one. We talked about all of this. But again, any rally back up, any of these pullbacks are a gift to the bears. It's a treat, trick or treat. This is the trick. This is the trick. This is the trick. The treat presents opportunity for the bears to add to their positions, and it gives the bulls the opportunity to exit. And most of them will not take it, rally up, keep saying, here we go, and it fails. Like over here we go, and it fails. Here's a breakout, here we go, and it fails. And here we go, and it fails. So again, we may not see 116,000 again. There's still the possibility. If my signals turn back to bullish, you still might try to go to a larger Fibonacci. But as I said in my last couple of updates, again, it's more likely we've peaked here and we're turning down off of the 50 period, just under our 61.8 Fibonacci there. It was 117. We hit 116,000. We got a topping tail, and you back tested. Remember, I talked about back testing the broken trend line in the daily time frame. That's what we did here, and now that has set up this head and shoulders pattern. So again, we've dropped almost 18% here during this decline. You're likely going to take out this neckline and eventually get a bigger drop than what we've seen so far. And again, I've had more people drop F-bombs on me this time around calling this top than I did the last. And they hated me when I called the day of the top back in November of 2021, when Bitcoin peaked on November 10th. They hated me, and Bitcoin's never going below 60,000, all this other stuff. And I ended up being right. And Bitcoin dropped 52%. It rallied back up, and then it ended up dropping 78%. But the people right now are just going bananas with this sell-off. And we had the large liquidation. A lot of people got wiped out. You don't have the money to drive Bitcoin back up. Oh, no, BlackRock's been selling, actually. But, you got people just saying, oh, Sailor's going to buy and BlackRock and all these things. And we've got the ETFs and, oh, you could. Hey, I'm just telling you, the charts are saying Bitcoin has topped and it's going to go lower unless we clear resistance. You confirm a bear market, Bitcoin is toast, and it's going back to 11 to 25,000. Markets for Bitcoin are 80 to 90%. I think we're going to drop 91%. I think Bitcoin's going back to 11,000. I think it's going back to at least 25. The massive head and shoulders and the daily time frame measures to 22,000. All the technicals are agreeing with this. So again, we're getting a bounce here, and the Moon Boys calling another bottom. And again, these are the same people that never saw the top. These are the same people that never saw the liquidation that was about to happen, which I told you it was. I told you we were going down towards the low 100,000 area. These are the people that continue to be oblivious to what is going on. And again, people let their emotions guide them. I was bullish. Told you if we turned off of resistance, and I saw evidence of a top, I would change. Had a shot at going to the Fibonacci extension levels, but we turned off other Fibonacci extension levels from the lows of 2022. Covered that in my last update. Turned off major resistance, and we're seeing evidence now. I see a lot of evidence that Bitcoin is topped. I see evidence that the rally is going to continue. I will change, but Bitcoin is likely going to confirm a bear market. And again, I try to be objective. I'm not interested in the bullish side or the bearish side. I'm interested in the right side of the trade. I got very, very bullish when everybody was bearish at the April 7th bottom. I called the day of the bottom with my signals, just as I called the day of the top here in October. I gave you those topping signals. I gave you the trend line of resistance. I had to turn off of it. I told you we still might hit it one more time. I told you had a good shot that we peaked. Trend line of resistance I'm referring to, and because I had sell signals October 6th, 7th, and 8th. And right after that, the bottom fell out of Bitcoin. So again, you likely have a right shoulder here. Got a shot at maybe going to a deeper Fibonacci if signals will turn back to bullish and you get above the 50. I doubt it. I think that 116,000 is going to hold. I think you're getting a bounce, and then I think you're going to see in the coming days ahead, I think you're going to see the neckline break here and taking out of 103,000. This rally right here with the topping tail to just under the 61.8 Fibonacci, that was that back. I told you to watch these two trend lines from the April low here, the higher April low here, and again, this trend line right here, we got above it. We hit the trend line from the April low right there. You can see that right there. We turned down. We went back up and we hit it again. We hit the trend line from the April low, and that's where we got the reversal at just under the 61.8 Fibonacci at 116,000. You got a test of the 50 and you got rejection there. Broke the lower boundary of the bear flag. You formed a bear flag going into that back test, forming a right shoulder for the head and shoulders. There's just nothing bullish about this chart. Sorry. Breaking a trend line, you're back testing it with the bear flag. You're breaking the bear flag and you're forming a head and shoulders. Explain to me what is bullish about this. Now, the Moon Boys are telling us exactly what I told you they were going to say. I told you over here, again, with this move here, down to here, I told you, and we pull back, they're going to say it's an inverse head and shoulders. Here we go. Told you they were going to say that. Again, you're doing major technical damage here. Again, these people are, the herd is going to follow the Moon Boys off a cliff, just like they did at the last top. We pulled up to above 50 on the RSI, as I told you to watch for it to turn back below it, which we did, and got rejection at that 50. So we now have a 50-50 sell signal. You're dropping back below the 50, confirming the topping tail, and the RSI is dropping back below 50. Again, RSI remains below 50, and you're below the 50 period moving average. You're likely moving lower or sideways. We have stochastic turning back down. The MACD remains in negative territory. There's just nothing bullish about this chart. There's nothing bullish about the daily charts. There's nothing bullish about the weekly charts. There's nothing bullish about the monthly charts. And yet you got people, with the hopium going on are going to be really, really disappointed. Now, we're back testing right now. Now, let me just bring it up here. Bitcoin's still down 1.5%, or up 1.5%, pardon me. And we're coming back up and we're back testing this. And here's the 10 and the 20. The 10 tried to get above the 20 period, but we're coming back to those moving averages and we're stalling. Now, again, it's likely the head and shoulders trend line is eventually going to break and that we're just getting a counter trend. We might try to get back above the line here and get a larger Fibonacci retracement. You got a good shot with rejection off the 50 here, our topping tail getting confirmed, another topping tail the day after that with the confirmation, and then the follow through. You got a good shot that 116,000 is now going to hold, and we may not see 116,000 until the next bull cycle. Only hope I see for the bulls here, the only hope I see is you got a 5-leg push down here, and the only hope I see for the bulls is if you get a A, if this whole thing's A, then you get B, and then you get a C to try to go into the golden pocket. I think that's less likely. It's still possible, but like I said, any rally is a gift to the bears. Warned of the sell signals back up at the top. Told you again, this rally, rebound back up would end up failing, and it very well could be done now here at 116,000, but right now we're trying to back test. So if we do get a bigger move, again, it would be try to go to a larger Fibonacci retracement. Like I said, my signals would have to turn back to bullish for that to happen. Right now they're bearish. But you get the moon boys going, oh, it's an inverse head and shoulders. This is exactly what I predicted would happen. I told you we would end up selling off, getting a lower high, selling off and getting an inverse head and shoulders, and they a pattern that looked like an inverse head and shoulders, and they'd say it's an inverse head and shoulders. And again, eventually, we're going to resume the advance to take out 103,000. But again, these people are easily duped. People don't want to hear the truth. You know, people are in denial. When I talked about the possibility of clearing resistance and going to the Fibonacci extension levels between 150,000 and 175,000, man, they loved me. Warned if we turned off resistance and we started seeing evidence of a top there, that again, the bull market would end. 4-year cycle would come to a conclusion, and I talked about the risk of resistance over and over in every single video. I talk about both the bullish and bearish scenarios because both were possible. And now it is less likely the bullish scenario is possible, and we're probably going to confirm a bear market in November or December. Bitcoin is likely topped and done major technical damage. Still going to talk about the bullish scenario because it's still possible if Bitcoin does not end up confirming a bear market, but my signals in the weekly time frame would all have to turn back to bullish. And again, I'm seeing real evidence of a top. This is what I think is going to happen. And again, here's the left shoulder. Here's the head formation. I think that, again, this is a massive head and shoulders. I think you're coming down, and I'm getting, called every name in the book and told all kinds of stuff. All kinds of names and everything because I'm showing you what's going to happen. This is what has happened with at other bull market tops, and Bitcoin moves into a bear market and it ends up dropping 40-50% or so. Drop down 41% from the high. You're looking at moving back to 74,000. I think you've got a head and shoulders. I think the S&P is doing the same thing. And I think that Bitcoin is just, it's peaked early, and that's a warning sign. Bitcoin peaks before the market over and over and over. Market peaks after Bitcoin, and that's what we're seeing right now. That's why Bitcoin, or that's why the market likely peaked on Wednesday with the Fed on the 29th, and that's why I believe the stock market is topped. I believe Bitcoin topped on October 6th. But again, you go down to 74,000, you're dropping 41%. More than likely, we're going to take out 74,000. Great Scott, did you just hear what I said? More than likely, we're going to take out 74,000. That's what we did the last time in the last bear market. Last bear market, you dropped 52%. If we drop down just 50%, you're dropping down 63%. If you drop down 50%, you're dropping down to $60,000. Then I think you're going to rally back up to the 200 period moving average. This is the black line right here. The 50 is going to get a death cross below it here in the coming days ahead, and it will roll over and will likely drop into December or January. The Fed will do emergency cuts, and you'll get a massive rally. Somebody asked me, well, Bitcoin, after it drops below 100,000, will it ever get back above it? It could. It could, because if you get a left shoulder that's balanced, over here, you had the peak over here at these highs right here, above 100,000, just above 100,000 there, which was at about 110,000 or so. So again, we might see, the 110,000 area, the low 100,000 area after we drop below it and eventually confirm a bear market. So again, this is what I think is going to happen. Bitcoin is famous for setting up head and shoulder patterns. I think this one's probably going to play out. This is what happened at the last top. But at the last top, you took out this low and you moved to a new low and you dropped 52%. Let me show you. Not only did Bitcoin get a massive double top pattern with our first 2021 peak and our second 2021 peak here, but it also formed a head and shoulders in the second peak. And if you look at it, it's got a slanted neckline here, but it is still a head and shoulders pattern. You've got the left shoulder, you've got the head, and then the bottom just fell to Bitcoin. It dropped 52%. It took out that low, and then you got the right shoulder back up to the 200 period moving average, and Bitcoin collapsed. And again, the people that never saw the Bitcoin top, and again, I call the very day of the top based on the divergence here, the divergences we're seeing in the weekly and the monthly time frame, just exactly what we have right now. Bitcoin dropped in 10 and a half weeks. It dropped 52%. And that would take Bitcoin back down to 60,000. If it dropped 52%, 50% would be 63,000. Back to the 74,000 April low would be 41% lower. And I think you're at least going to move back to 74,000 by December or January. I'm expecting the Fed to likely do emergency cuts by January, so I think Bitcoin will drop. But Bitcoin took out that low and, again, got this kind of slanted kind of a neckline. Again, a massive head and shoulders after a massive double top pattern. After that right shoulder completed, the bottom fell out of Bitcoin and it collapsed, and we ended up dropping 78%. I had some guy that he commented on my chart here. I posted this chart and he commented on it and said, I am worth $600 million. And this is the stupidest chart I've ever seen. There's no way this could happen. And on to say I'm not worthy to shovel snow off his driveway or something like that. I can't remember, but made some kind of comment. These people are just arrogant and are out of touch with reality, and they're going to get a reality check. Again, a billionaire saying the same thing. And again, I don't care, $600 million, or if you're a billionaire, you're not going to be able to stop the Bitcoin bear market. Again, we're turning off resistance. Everything's turning bearish. So there's just really bad odds that Bitcoin moves to new highs. The odds favor that Bitcoin is topped. Backtest mode with the breakdown of the bear flag. I may try to get a larger Fibonacci retracement, but again, any rally back up is a gift, a treat for the bears, and presents other shorting opportunities to add to positions. Any back up as an opportunity for the bulls to exit positions, but the rally is a trick. Again, I've talked about, when I call the top here, I talked about the trend line right here. I talked about the triple divergence that's formed at these prior peaks right here. And again, if we drop below the 50-week moving average, you drop below 50, you're going to get a 50-50 sell signal. If you drop below the 50-week moving average and then open and close below it like we did back over here, you'll confirm a bear market. The same similar type of divergence that we had. And again, I used this divergence to call the top back over here, and we had that divergence in the daily time frame. These lows were likely pointing to the next high. They were. I told you these highs are probably pointing to the next high, and they are. Look at the price oscillator. The price oscillator's got this divergence. It's likely headed down into negative territory soon, and you'll get a push below the 50. You'll see the price oscillator drop into the negative region, confirming the bear market like we had over here. But again, Bitcoin will be much lower by the time that happens. Again, Bitcoin's about to drop 41 to 52%. Then I'm watching this trend line here. Eventually, we'll test it and likely take it out. The daily time frame, I keep telling you, if we take out Bitcoin's average price near that 50-week moving average and drop below it and stay below it, eventually the 100 period drops below it, you're going to confirm a bear market. If you drop below this level, it's acted as support just like the 50-week moving average. You lost this level, Bitcoin's average price, you confirmed a bear market, you went back up, you got rejection at it, and then the bottom fell out of Bitcoin. Got back above it, and it was the birth of the new bull market. Acting as support, we bounced off of it, marked the short-term pullback bottoms. Losing this level currently at the mid 102,000 area, again, opens the door. We had a high just above it at 103,000. Opens the door to confirm a bear market in the daily time frame. Opens the door to confirm a bear market. If we drop back below that 50-week moving average, which again the 50-week has acted as support all the way up. You close below it, Bitcoin's toast. Confirm a bear market. You close below it, then you get a confirmation bar. Not only turning off of that 2021 trend line with the log scaling and the linear time frame, we've turned off the 2017 trend line, to the first 2021 peak. And again, turning off major resistance. This is not good. And it's flipped the weekly charts back to bearish. Warning signs of a top. When presented with evidence, I change. I try to be flexible, and if my signals change, I will change. And I saw real evidence of a top at the top, and ever since then, I've been telling you, I think that's the top. Presented with other evidence, I will change. Closing out the month today, Bitcoin is down 4% for the month. Here is a 10-month moving average. That's that red line. If Bitcoin loses a 10-month moving average, if it loses a 50-week moving average, if it loses Bitcoin's average price, you will confirm a bear market. Right now, we're trying to bounce off of these levels right now. Here, the 10-week moving average just above it, and our 50-week moving average, as I've said. But look at the divergences that have formed. And again, this is what I was telling you happening back at the top as we were slamming into the trend line of resistance. This is the divergence that I used to call the top back in 2021. Look at the divergence on the stochastic. Look at the divergence right now on the stochastic. Stochastic is here moving down, ready to break 80. The RSI has turned and dropped below 70. There's nothing bullish about this chart. You're getting rejection off resistance with multiple points of negative divergence. And look at the price oscillator. Again, over here, you got a peak, you rolled over, and you got a bear market in 2017 and 18 there, the 2017 top. Over here, you formed a peak here, and you ended up getting a divergence at the 2021 top. You moved higher, and you got a little divergence there, it rolled over, and again, you got your bear market of 78% in 2022. Look what's happening right now. You're getting another lower high, lower than these other peaks. Prices moved higher, and you're rolling over. So again, and in the more recent price action, you're getting this divergence with the peak back over here in December in, late 2024 there. You're getting a divergence, the December peak. So again, explain to me what's bullish about this chart. You have the price oscillator rolling over, forming a multiple point divergence with the past bear markets. You have Bitcoin getting rejection at the trend line. You have the multiple point negative divergences on the stochastic and the RSI. Again, there's nothing bullish about this chart. If you think Bitcoin is bullish, if you're buying into all the hype and hopium, you're going to get a rude awakening and get a reality check pretty soon here. We're likely going to drop down to test the April low by December or January and maybe move beyond it. Like I said, dropping 50 or 52%, dropping down to 60 or 63,000. But if you think this chart is bullish, man, you are in complete denial. If the head and shoulders plays out, that's setting up at 74,000, that measures down to 22,000. If we get 80% drop, that's 25,000. If we get a 91% drop back to this trend line right here, that's 91% lower. I think Bitcoin's going to drop 80 to 90%. I'm predicting it's going to drop back down to this trend line at 91%, but my target range is 11,000 to 25,000, 80 to 90% for this Bitcoin bear market.